Hello everyone, today we will have two interesting stories. Before we get to that, I want to ask you to subscribe, like, and be sure to write comments in order to participate in the development of the community. Write how to improve my community, current topics and the stories you are interested in, and much more. I read and listened to all the comments. People write me stories by mail from different countries. There are problems with translation. I apologize for this. I will work on it and try to fix these errors. I want to thank everyone for their support and the people who wrote to me by mail. Broadcast news stories. New videos on my channel are published every 2 days at 7 p.m. Don't forget to put a bell in order not to miss new videos. And now let's go. Hello, I want to share my story with you. I met my wife when she was 17 years old. I was 20, one at the time. My wife lived in another city. I often came there to visit my relatives. But also, as it often happens, a noisy company, an alcoholic party, and a bunch of girls. One of these girls was my wife. I fell in love with her at first sight. I will not tell you further details of the development of this relationship. It will take a very long time. I can only say one thing, that the first sex we had happened after a year of relationship, perhaps because we lived in different cities. One day, I couldn't get through to my wife in the evening at night. Only in the morning she picked up the phone. Naturally, I made a scandal. She was scared to death and confessed that she was at a party and cheated on me. Imagine what I felt at that moment. In a rage, I smashed my mobile phone, hit the closet with my fist. I called my boss at work and asked for a day off. A week before that, I bought myself a new car. I drove 1,000 kilometers at a tremendous speed. I didn't get to the city for a while and got into an accident. I crashed into a bus stop. Thank God there were no people there. Everything was fine, only the iron was crushed. As a result, when I saw my wife, I melted like sugar in the sun and forgave her. In the evening, I drank a lot, called a taxi, and went in search of this man. I beat him up, but I didn't really beat him up. I didn't have time to finish the job because his friends separated us. In short, I lost this fight. I was surrounded by a crowd. In general, it's my own fault. After that, I went home, took a shower, and couldn't sleep all night. My thoughts were burning inside me. The next morning, I packed my wife's things, put her in the car, and drove her to my house. A year passed, and we got married, lived happily. We had sex wherever possible. We just didn't try it on the ceiling, because we wouldn't have succeeded. 5 years have passed. Intimacy has become very rare in our relationship. My wife had a new friend, to whom she went to visit every day. In the end, I didn't suspect anything, but over time, I got suspicious. Anyway, I went and got tested at the hospital. I was found to have a whole bunch of venereal diseases. I was shocked. You wouldn't wish that on an enemy. I thought I was going to kill my wife. I couldn't afford to cheat. I don't know why. I came home furious. I slapped my wife. She was very scared and told me everything. As it turned out, her friend brought her to her friend. But no one forced my wife to spread her legs. Their relationship lasted 6 months. My wife told me everything in detail, where they had sex, when, even in what poses. I demanded these details myself. I don't know why. Listening to her, I almost knocked out my teeth. I didn't stop there. I told her that if I ever find out something like that again, I'll just kill you. What do you think? She said through tears that I was her only man. She really wanted to try sex with someone else. After all, it ended more than once. My wife had a boyfriend before me. They didn't have sex at all. My wife went to her sister and decided to fix this situation. She found herself a married man and secretly met him at a hotel. One day, a friend of this man came to this hotel to take them home. What do you think? What do you think? What happened next? Yes, they had group sex. I've been digesting this information for 2 months. The thoughts were very bad. I don't know why, but I made her tell me everything. I felt very bad and hurt. I've been trying to convince her to work with her mouth for 3 years now. As a result, group sex and a bunch of sexually transmitted diseases. In general, I am a horned deer. Of course, after everything I heard, I filed for divorce. She begged me to forgive her. She became so hysterical that she swallowed the pills. I called an ambulance. My wife was taken to a psychiatric hospital. Of course, I didn't forgive her. There were no problems with the divorce. I told the whole truth in court. It seemed to me that even the judge was in shock. As a result, my ex-wife went crazy and went to the hospital for treatment. I barely moved away from everything that was happening. I finally started a new life. I have a new girlfriend, but I still can't completely trust her. But I hope that everything will get better for me. So friends, don't repeat my mistakes. If your wife cheated on you once, it will happen again. Take my word for it. It doesn't matter how she swears to you. I think this is the end of my story. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. And subscribe to the channel so as not to miss the new story. Before we move on to the opinion of the author of the channel, we have another short story. Let's go. My wife and I got married back in 2010. We had 2 sons. We lived in a rented apartment. I decided to build a house. I bought a plot of land and planned construction for 2011. In the spring, my wife told me that she wanted to go to her relatives and visit them. It was decided that my wife would go to her relatives. I will stay and continue to monitor the construction of the house. As soon as the construction of the house is completed, my wife will return. 2 months later, the house was already under the roof. My beloved wife returned tanned and rested. Within a month, we had to build a house and move into it. But then out of the blue, my mom called me and made an appointment. Our meeting took place in a cafe. Mom showed me the recording from the dictaphone. On this recording, my wife was telling her friend all the details of her vacation. I'll tell you verbatim. My sister and I have visited all the hot spots of this city. I didn't even know where my kids were. One day they were at my aunt's, the second, at my grandmother's. On the third day, they were at the uncle's, then at the niece's, and so on. Later I met my ex-boyfriend. I immediately wanted to live. He asked me to meet him. I immediately agreed without hesitation. Then they started talking about sins. My wife's friend asks if you have redeemed your sins. My wife said no, she doesn't see the point. She cheated on her husband only once. May those who have abortions and abandon their children atone for their sins. After these words, it was like boiling water was poured on me. I just wasn't myself. My mom asked me for forgiveness. She said she had no right to know all this and hide it from me. My mom begged me not to do anything stupid. I arrived home and immediately asked my wife about it. I was calm and didn't even raise my voice at her. I asked her to tell only the truth. My wife confessed everything to me. My wife was friends with this guy in early childhood. When they met again, my wife had a momentary weakness. After that, they drove the car into the forest. In the woods, right in the car, they had sex. I sat in the kitchen in silence all night. My wife didn't sleep either. She plucked up the courage and came up to me. She asked me to forgive her. She said it wouldn't happen again. I left home. I've given up building a house for 2 years now. I haven't seen my wife and children for exactly 2 years. We communicate only by video. As a result, we officially divorced. I still love my ex-wife very much. I've forgiven her, but I just can't live with her. I don't want to and won't do it. I was offered a job in the northern region. I left without hesitation. I will say only one thing, and because of stupidity, children will grow up without a father. That's the whole story. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel so as not to miss new stories. Now let's move on to the opinion of the author of the channel. Opinion of the author of the channel. Before I say a word, by tradition, I want our heroes to gain strength. Everything will be fine in your life. Take my word for it. God, when I read the first story, I was terrified. It seemed to me that the girl did not understand anything at all. If I was this guy, if I discovered sexually transmitted diseases, I would definitely kill her. At that moment, I would have left without even thinking. It seemed that this girl was born to jump on someone else's bolts. Boy, don't worry. You have a chance to find a decent girl. In the second case, a man should not forget about his children. His wife, apparently, is confused in this life. But this guy is right. It's very hard to live with. But if you love her very much, perhaps a psychotherapist will help you. But I would not advise returning such a girl. In your place, you need to start a new life. If you have watched to the end, I want to say thank you very much. I love you all. Thank you for joining me on this exciting journey of love, betrayal, and redemption. I appreciate your support and encourage you to subscribe, like, and share this story. Your participation and feedback are invaluable for shaping our content and promoting mutual understanding and community growth. Until we meet again.